All right, guys, today we're going to talk about past participles. It's another form of verbs that you need to learn. It is a form of the verb that can be used either as an adjective or in a compound tense called perfect tenses. There's actually a whole bunch of perfect tenses, but those are pretty simple, and we'll get into those eventually. But first, let's talk about how to form the verbs, and then you can see how to use it as an adjective. It's pretty simple. It's basically the ed ending in English, not as far as like a tense goes, but like when you say something is messed up, that's using a past participle as an adjective. And so we're going to do the same thing, same kind of thing, just in Spanish today. So verb endings for past participles, very straightforward. You have your AR verbs, which end in ADO. ER and IR verbs end in IDO. So some examples, you got hablar, which would be hablado, comer, comido, vivir, vivido. So hablar would be, hablado would be spoken. Comer or comido would be eaten. Vivido would be lived. There are some irregular patterns that you need to be aware of for these guys. First off, you have a group of 12 irregular verbs. You have abrir, abierto, which means opened. Cubrir, cubierto, covered. Escrito, written. Frito is fried. You know those little corn chips, the Fritos? Now you know why they're called Fritos. They're little fried corn chips. Hacer, hecho, done. Muerto is dead. That's a depressing one. Impreso is printed. That's a funky one. A little note on imprimir. A lot of people say imprimido, and that's actually an acceptable form now. It's kind of a new change of the language. It had always been impreso, but now imprimido is accepted. So you can say imprimido, and that's fine. Puesto is put. Resuelto is resolved. Roto is broken. Visto is seen. And vuelto is returned. Okay. There are some other irregulars that you need to be aware of, and those are the ones where you have an ER-IR verb and the stem ends in a vowel. So, for example, caer would be caído. You got to put an accent on that I, and the reason for that is because A and I become a diphthong, so they become one syllable. And if you don't have that accent, it would be caído, and that's not how you say it. It's caído, and that accent separates the two vowels and makes two syllables. So that works on all of these verbs that I'm going to show you. So caer, caído, fallen. Creído, believed. Leído is read. Oído, heard. And traído, brought. Okay? When you come across compound verb, be sure to look for the root verb. Sometimes you'll see verbs that look familiar, but then they have a prefix on them. So look for that root verb, and it'll be conjugated the same way. Just add the prefix to the front. For example, you have something like deshacer. You can see hacer as that root verb. Hacer means to do or to make. So deshacer is to undo or unmake something. So you just do hacer normally, hecho, and put the des in front of it. So deshecho. Predecir, to predict or to say something beforehand, right? So decir, again, conjugate that like you normally would, just put the prefix on the front. So predicho, pre-said, predicted. You can use past participles as adjectives. It's very common to do that. For example, I could say el libro está abierto. The book is open. Okay, I'm describing that book. I could also say el libro abierto, the open book. El libro abierto. And so because it is a masculine singular noun, it would end in an O. But if your noun changes, like la habitación, that is a feminine noun. So my ending would have to change to match, just like adjectives always do. So la habitación está desorganizada. Okay, if it was plural, like if I had a bunch of books, it'd be los libros están abiertos, or los libros abiertos. If there are a bunch of messy rooms, it would be las habitaciones están desorganizadas, with an S on the end. Okay? You can also use past participles in something called perfect tenses, and we'll check that out in the next video. So stay tuned, watch that. Good luck.